And please set aside the legalese. Find common, everyday language that everyone will be able to not just track with, but be able to internalize and make their own. Simple and clean does not mean that you have to dumb it down. You're simply placing priority on elevating the greater good and the group over the individual. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Kristi Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Kristi Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello. Hey there, Foster fam. Let me ask you real quick, are you already on my mailing list? Do you already know the joy and the value of my Tuesday emails? I love knowing that I'm getting through. And so it meant so much to me when one reader replied out of nowhere to say, I just wanted to thank you and let you know that I really enjoy getting these emails from you. I can hear you as I read it. Love that. Or another one that said, this is a great vocal tip. Thank you for helping me become a better communicator. Well, I tell you what, it is my pleasure. I love getting those messages. So get on my list so that you can get my weekly free vocal tip. The link to join is in the show notes. Or, maybe you need some incentivizing. Sure. Okay. I got you. I've got two great resources I'm happy to just give you. They're just little free trainings to help you get on the right path. One is for making sure that your voice, your face, your body, and your breath are all in sync to clarify your emotional profiles and 10x your communication impact. The other is to help you craft a vocal warm-up, just to get your breath, body, and voice ready to go before you step onto your stage or the courtroom or conference room. I've put the links to both in the show notes. I mean, look at me, just giving stuff away here. Take advantage of it, and then check in and let me know how it's going. Today, we're going to continue this short series on what my career in theater education taught me about courtroom communication. Last week, we talked about what I learned while being a theater director. And today, we're talking about what I learned as a choreographer that just might help you as a trial attorney. But before we get into it, I just wanted to share something I heard the other day that kind of stopped me in my tracks. And it was this: the faster you're moving, the more you're in fear. And the more you're in fear, the more you're thinking about yourself. And the more you're thinking about yourself, the less compassion and kindness you have for others. There's no love in hurried and stressed. And the more you're hurrying and the more you're stressing, the more you're missing the magic. So, okay, thanks for the guilt trip, Kristi. Yeah, I know I'm too hurried, I'm too stressed. I'm a trial attorney. That's just how it goes. Now, I'm not meaning to make you feel guilty for choosing a career. that is fast-paced, full of roller coasters of emotions and strategies. In fact, I say it all the time. You are the heroes of the world, absolute heroes. But I want you to be able to do this extraordinary work for a long time, or at least however long you want to. So, how about we just take this moment right now? Choose to just slow yourself down. Let's just take 1 minute, and I invite you to breathe with me. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out through your nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Expand your belly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just 2 more. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Those were 6 rounds of a 4x4 balancing breath. You know what I hate? Being misunderstood. It's actually one of my biggest fears, if I'm honest, right up there with birds. Yes, I'm afraid of birds. Leave me alone about it already. Being misunderstood is just the worst, though. Trying to communicate something and seeing that it's just not landing the way you intend. Too harsh of tone with your kid or spouse that ended up setting them off. A thinking face that got interpreted as annoyance or irritation and ended up shutting down the conversation and leaving you baffled. It's so frustrating in our personal lives, but in the courtroom, your mismatched communication profile could break your case and lose you a deserving verdict. So, I've created a free guide to get you thinking about the emotional profiles you create. It's a printable guide to help you 10x your communication impact by mastering 6 emotional profiles for clear and authentic connection. I break down the 6 core emotions: happy, sad, love, pride, anger, and fear by giving you face, body, and breathing cues. Plus, I show you exactly which point on a 1 to 10 scale you should be with your pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone in order to authentically capture the center of that core emotion. The link to get your free guide is in the show notes or by simply going to my website, fostervoicestudio.com. Don't wait to clear up your part of miscommunication and misunderstandings. Get your free download today. So, for many, many years, I ran a youth theater company in my area. It was the largest regional theater company for kids ages 6 to 18. We produced 13 shows a year, had 40 classes every quarter, summer camps, competitive improv teams, all the things. So, needless to say, I have directed and choreographed and music directed more than my fair share of productions. Now, last week, I shared some of the helpful communication strategies and perspectives I picked up while being a theater director. Now, as a choreographer, there are some additional tips I wanted to pass on to you as a courtroom leader. Now, if you're not a theater person, let me just explain that a choreographer is in charge of all the dances and often the transitions from song to scene. When working with a youth ensemble, there was a huge range of skill levels and experience levels. So it was difficult to make sure that every student was able to absolutely shine on stage. I found that I had the best success with my productions when I choreographed to the highest denominator, when I set high expectations and just believed that everyone would step up. Well, now wait a minute. Didn't that set up the less skilled students for failure? I mean, you might think so, but the opposite was actually true. If I set high expectations, I also equipped them to meet those expectations. It brought out the best in me as well. I wanted a strong show, and I believed that the students could rise to the occasion because they also wanted a strong show. This approach actually has a formal title to it. It's called the Pygmalion Effect. Now, if you are a theater geek like me, you are buzzing because you know that Pygmalion is the name of a play that the musical My Fair Lady is based off of. So trust me, theater folks are literally buzzing right now. We're so excited. But the term is actually a psychological term. A central tenet of the Pygmalion effect is that others' expectations of us can eventually influence our behavior in a significant way. In other words, low expectations could ultimately lead to poor performance, while optimistic expectations would likely improve performance. Okay, but how does this relate to the courtroom? I'm so glad you asked. Let me make the connections. Your beliefs about jurors shape your conduct towards jurors. Your conduct towards jurors influences jurors' beliefs about themselves. These beliefs, in turn, impact jurors' actions towards you, and jurors' actions towards you influence your beliefs about them. And we're back to the beginning. It becomes this cycle, a self-fulfilling prophecy, the Pygmalion effect. So the lesson here is to think highly of your jurors. Think of them as the heroes you want them to be. Treat them as if they are the most important people in the justice system. And believe it. Don't just give them lip service. Expect that they will rise to the occasion to do their best and equip them to do so. When you set that expectation and belief system from the start, you will behave differently for them. You will equip and empower them in unique ways, and they in turn will rise up and look to you for leadership and trust your counsel. Create this new cycle. Stop thinking about them as the enemy in the courtroom. Okay, now the second thing that being a choreographer taught me about courtroom communication is that simple and clean is way better than advanced and messy. As a young or less experienced choreographer, it was so tempting to push higher skills and try to create something flashy and impressive. But the end product was usually far less successful and actually ended up being less impressive. By using easy, understandable, quickly mastered steps that everyone could do, it made it possible for everyone to shine, and we created way more impressive outcomes for the audience. Using advanced steps that not everyone could do masterfully created chaos, and the only ones who could appreciate it were the other technical masters who could recognize the intention, but that didn't cut it. So, in case I've not been obvious, let me just lean in a little bit. In a jury, you're going to have a huge range of folks, education levels, value systems, learning styles. You can't ignore this, nor should you underestimate it. You want simple and clean. Your flashy tech, your fast-talking legalese is not going to work on them. If anything, you'll leave them asking, who are you trying to impress? That's a good introspective question. Who are you wanting to impress? Is your technology and your terminology to show the defense counsel that you can play with the big boys? Or are you elevating your approach to prove to your own team that you are competent and strong? Are you trying to prove to yourself that you can rise above your humble roots and deserve to stand among the greats? Well, maybe none of these. And maybe your case really needs the fancy and the highfalutin. But as a juror type person, I'm just going to suggest from my perspective that I'd rather you take the time to draw on a simple flip chart that guides me through your thought process, instead of showing all the professionally done animations you had made that draw my attention away from you, the leader that I want you to be. And please set aside the legalese. Find common, everyday language that everyone will be able to not just track with, but be able to internalize and make their own. Simple and clean does not mean that you have to dumb it down. You're simply placing priority on elevating the greater good and the group over the individual. And finally, as a choreographer, I always wanted my actors to make bold choices, to dance full out. They might get a move wrong or get off track, but at least then I would know how to help them and where the breakdowns were happening. Now, they would only know how to dance full out if I showed them. If I wanted the final result to be lightning fingers for a final pose, I modeled that to them. Whatever facial expression I knew would serve the energy of the moment, I modeled that to them. They, in turn, would mirror that back. And jurors will do the same. Give them generous energy, physically and vocally. Model to them the type of interaction you'd like back from them. Now, not everyone will respond in kind. I certainly had rehearsals that felt like I was pulling teeth to get the level of energy I wanted, but most of the time it worked. Give it a try. Model what you want them to mirror back. And for goodness sake, keep fostering your voice. I'll see you next week. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.